We're back. Welcome to another episode of The Awakening Self. My name is Aaron Fisher, and I'm here to bring you our today's guest. His name is Dallas. Let me read to you a little bit about Dallas. So, by the age of 17, Dallas was an international and national award-winning stage magician. Beginning in 1999, he attended the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, where he was the entertainment director of UNLV, CSUN, putting on large-scale concert and numerous productions. He produced concerts for headlining acts such as Busta Rhymes, Naughty by Nature, Bone Thugs, Face to Face. He earned a degree in hotel administration with an emphasis in entertainment management. He learned the business side of the entertainment industry by working alongside Las Vegas show producer David Sachs. After 1 year of working at Sachs Production, he became a general manager of the company and managed more than 250 employees and helped produce almost 24 shows. After working and learning about Las Vegas entertainment industry, Dallas focused on his magic career. The Las Vegas Review witnessed his act and called it a stunning spectacle. 944 magazine exclaimed the audience was left stunned. His newest concept, which combines magic and cosplay, he produced and played the infamous Joker villain and went viral, reaching over 6.8 million views on YouTube. He can be seen in the opening sequence of NBC America's Got Talent. He's performed magic in many of the major resorts, casino in Las Vegas. He has been astonishing audience for more than 18 years, including corporate performances for the top Fortune 500 companies. Along with performing magic, he is a magic inventor, creates magic effects and routines for the magic industry. His effects and tricks were performed by some of the leading magicians in the world, and he has been seen by millions of people on the television show around the world and social media. He is hands-on with every aspect, from creating magic effects to the marketing and manufacturing process. He has also been a key member and business partner of Grant Phillips' Las Vegas Showgirl Museum. The collection won Coolest Museum in Las Vegas 2013 from Vegas Rated and has been featured in 79 countries on the Discovery Channel and will soon be relaunching in public venue in Las Vegas. So, without ado, and let's bring in Dallas for. That's the bio, my friend.
Yeah, sorry, it's pretty long. But it's nice to be here with you. Sorry, I'm just adjusting this light so you can see me a little bit better.
Hey, no problem. It's not the length of the bio. It's quite amazing the things that you've actually done from such a young age, and like your direction from like the different places in the entertainment industry into magic into like it's incredible. But how like tell me about your childhood. Like, when did this happen? Like, I want to know. I want to know the origin story of you.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you for having me on, Aaron. You're inspirational as well, and I think it's interesting to have this conversation with you. So, how did it all begin? Right? It began with lots of curiosity. I was always very curious as a young child. My imagination ran wild, and I was an only child, so it created that in my mind, that curiosity to explore and be creative. And so I wasn't very fit as like I was small. I didn't play sports very well. I played with some really good teams, but I sat on the bench, you know. And I got into acting, and I was in acting class, and like I think I won like most inspirational actor in Wizard of Oz. I was just like the mayor of the Munchkin City. But there was something about that experience of playing characters and playing with reality in a different way. And that led me to magic in two ways. I was 12 years old and went on a family trip to Las Vegas. And at that time, Vegas, this was actually a little bit before it kind of turned to a family destination for a little bit, then went back to its current state, which is where it started, which is more for adults. But there was only so many things that kids could do there, which is like an arcade. So like I go play the arcade, and then I'd play all the games and whatever, and I'd just get bored. And I was like, and then everywhere you go in Vegas, they'd be like, oh, you can't be by your parents, you can't be in the casino. It was very strict. And so I didn't like it. I was like, I didn't like Vegas. I was like, I can't wait to go back home. And so it just so happened that our flight was canceled. So my parents thought it was a good idea. Like, well, hey, let's try to take Dallas to something that's going to be fun. So they thought, let's take them to Lance Burton's magic show. And at the time, is it with this casino called Hacienda that doesn't exist anymore. It's in the location of where Mandalay Bay is. And I went to that show and saw Lance Burton perform his Bird Act. It's a FISM, a World Championship magic act. And it hit me. I just knew at that moment I wanted to perform magic. So I just immersed myself with books, with videos, with magic shows, anything I could with magic. And then it just so happened that a friend in my class, in my acting class, Glenn Wyman, he was doing magic. He had a magic book that was gifted to him, and he taught me some tricks. And he was like, you know what? You do these magic tricks better than I do. He gifted me his magic book.
Wow.
And it was almost like once I witnessed magic and then I realized I wanted to be a magician, it was like magic just pour into my life. It just kept pouring into my life, like in all facets, from my friends to just opportunities. And I always say that I didn't find magic. I didn't search for magic. Magic found me. And so that wasn't my awakening moment, but that was a very pivotal moment in my life to find a passion. And that's such a hard thing to find in life. Is to find something that we're passionate about. It's not easy. And even when you find the passion, it's not easy to keep that alive and also work that into your life. So there's also challenges that come along with once you find something that you love to do. But just finding it, I was lucky to find it. I was very fortunate, very blessed and grateful for that. So that's the quick story of how it all, like how magic found me and then how it started.
Yeah, man, that sounds great. So at such a young age, you find this passion and this desire, and it's almost like magic is looking for you. Now, when you were so fascinated as a kid and you were playing around with the magic, how were the children and how were the people around you? Because you started at a very young age, so were you able to fit in? Was there any issues that you dealt with, or were you just completely accepted because you could do the craziest things?
It's interesting that you say that, because a lot of people find magic because it's a social crutch. You know, magic is something that you can meet people with magic. It's a powerful tool, and that's why a lot of young people get involved with magic. But I already had friends at school, and I got along with a lot of people at school, and I didn't have issues in that social capacity at that point. But with learning magic and trying it out, you know, on your friends and people and your peers, you know, sometimes you mess up and things don't go right, and but you learn from those failures. You know, I always like to say that magic is the best self-learning tool that there is, because you have to go step by step through the process. And if you don't follow a certain direction, you're not going to get the outcome of what you're trying to create, the illusion. So it's very apparent when you have a failure and you have to recover quickly or you have to quit. Because the shame that you get or the feeling you get when you mess up a magic trick, because we know magic is simple. The principles are very simple. And so when that's exposed and you mess up, you have to learn how to speak through failure. You have to be able to grow from those moments. And I think it's valuable. I think it's very valuable. So yeah, there were some challenging moments. Actually, I did a performance. As I was doing shows in school, the leadership class came to me. I was doing talent shows and stuff. The leadership class came to me and said, "Hey, can you help us raise money for this cause and put on a magic show?" And I'd only produced like little acts at that point. I was like, "Sure, yeah, I can do a full show." Like, had no idea what I was doing. So I had one show in particular that it was such a failure. It was my first big show. It was such a big failure. Like, one act was good and the rest was just not good at all. And I wanted to crawl in a hole after that. But I feel like in life, whether you're a magician or not, we need failures. We need these failures to hit us and to experience those from every type of level, like a psychological level, from a growth standpoint. It's so important. At the time, I was scared. I didn't want to go to school the next day. I went, but I wanted to hide. And anyways, but you learn to conquer those fears, you know? Mm-hmm. It's important.
It's also it's important, especially the way that you're framing it as well, because a lot of times we don't see it as that. A lot of times individuals will have a moment where they didn't achieve what they were hoping for, and then like, well, that's not for me, and then they go a different route in their lives, only to come back to that moment and be like, maybe it was for me.
That's right.
Did you ever have a moment like that with your magic, with your career with it?
Oh yeah, later on, like if we skip ahead, years later, I had a big failure in a magic project and ended up in this course of this project, losing out on a lot of money and investments, and I was trying to expand, and I was still very young and didn't know exactly what I was doing with this particular project in a lot of aspects, and it was very ahead of its time and very risky what I was doing. It was when new media was like starting to take off, and just as the iPad was being introduced, and I was writing we had a fantasy, I had partners involved, and we had a fantasy novel created by a best-selling fantasy author that we wrote, and then he rewrote it and everything. And we're going to launch a book project and an iPad, and you're going to click it's going to be like Harry Potter meets David Blaine, and then there's like all this fantasy happening, but you read the book, and then you click a image, and then you start seeing the scene from the thing. It was like very like out there, but it was really cool. But anyways, long story short, it was a complete failure, lost a bunch of money, and lost some like business friendships in the thing, and a lot of life things happened, and it didn't turn out well. So I entered a form of like minor depression in a sense, not knowing that like from that failure, but because I started doing other entertainment projects just to keep moving. And I was still doing magic, but I wasn't creating more. I wasn't developing. I wasn't pushing myself. And I started realizing that I had stopped the pattern in my life that was always there, which was to create magic, create tricks, create acts, create presentations. And I stopped doing that. And for those about a year and a half, 2 years almost, I wasn't happy. I could feel it inside. There was something inside. I just felt like I lost purpose, and then it hit me. I was like, I need to do this. I need to go back to creating. I need to go back. And then when I created the next project that I did just for myself, it like hit really big. That was that YouTube video that just, I was just creating it for myself because I had this idea, and I was like getting back into magic, and I think that was like, whatever, like universe or God or whatever you want to call it, like saying, keep creating, like keep creating and putting things out there, and getting in touch with your internal purpose. And that wasn't really the that was not the awakening moment. It was part of that, kind of continued, but before that, earlier, there were some times where things weren't developing. Once you discover your purpose, a lot of people think that that's it, but no, it's not it. That's just the beginning, because there's more challenges that come with that, that are going to test us to grow. I know you know about that. We have mutual friends, and I've learned about your story, and it's quite touching. Like it's to dig deep, grow, right? At these failures and these times of life that you decide, that make you decide if you're going to continue to go on this journey, right?
I'm with you, man.
Or just to decide to let other people decide what your journey is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And there comes a point when you discover your purpose, that you decide that I'm going to be the author of this journey. I might be the author with multiple people that are part of this team, and we might have, this team might have shared purpose, but it's either we decide what this book is going to be, chapter by chapter, or someone writes us to be in that book, and we have to be in someone else's book.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it comes down to, I think. And not everyone has the choices to do those things. Sometimes you have to do certain things at periods of your life. And sometimes sometimes people find their purpose and it gets taken away from them, or whatever. There's all kinds of things to learn. It's all learning. So I'm a life learner. I don't know enough. I don't know anything. I want to keep learning. I just want to keep learning. So, yeah.
No, I appreciate it. I fully agree, and I appreciate a lot of the thoughts that you're saying, but sometimes we might think we have everything until we get stripped of it all, only to realize that we had nothing, and and we were going in the wrong direction, and now it's time to begin.
Yes.
Now it's time to home into it. Now it's like, what were the promises that I made when I was a kid? What filled me up with joy? What gave me purpose? What allowed me to give other people purpose? And you go back to these moments and you're like, that's what it is. Listen, we all have these awakening moments, or these moments like, I had I was working with Fortune 500 companies on their leadership development companies, and then in the blink of the eye, everything was taken away from me, and I'm just like, it was like, it wasn't like you can call it universe or whatever. It wasn't trying to take things away from me. It was just trying to redirect me to where I really needed to go, in the direction. So I get it. I get it when people say that. And it's so, these pivotal moments are so important. So you said this was leading up to your awakening moment. So what was this awakening moment?
Well, actually, this actually was, the awakening moment was a little bit before that. It wasn't I didn't go through depression before the awakening moment, but there was some still trying to find my footing in my purpose. Like, what direction do I go? I had moved to Las Vegas. I had went to UNLV and graduated hotel management with emphasis in entertainment management. I was entertainment director at the college and put on shows and everything, and that was great, and I learned about the business side.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was developing my corporate career of doing trade shows and corporate magic events, but I wasn't growing as much, and things weren't moving forward as fast as I wanted them to. And I took like a little hike by myself at Red Rock in Las Vegas. It's this beautiful landscape of red rocks, and I just needed to get out in nature and kind of meditate, or just be by myself, and to process some of these thoughts and where I wanted to go. And at one point in my meditation, I remember, and when I tell you this, you're not going to believe what I'm telling you, but this actually happened, and it was so real, and this was an awakening moment for me. I just said to myself, I need a sign that I'm on the right path. I need a sign that I'm on the right path. And once I see that sign, I'm going to continue. And I need a sign. I need a sign. Show me a sign. I was speaking this in my meditation to myself. So after the meditation, I took a break, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to go on this trail and just kind of go up this little hike by myself. I was walking along this path, and there was like a piece of like litter, a piece of like it looked like a piece of paper on the ground. And then in this trail, it's very clean and nice. It's people take care of it. So it kind of struck me as like, you know, why would someone just throw their piece of paper down on this path? It's like, unless it was just an accident, you know, like that happens. But I pick it up, and Aaron, it was a little flyer for Lance Burton's magic show. The magician that I saw when I was like 12 years old. And I didn't know what to think or anything, but it was right after I asked for a sign. I swear this happened. This is like the realest thing. This was an awakening moment where I was like, what else? There could be a million billion things that could have been on that piece of paper, on that like little piece of like flyer. But it was Lance Burton. It was the master magician that I witnessed the first time I was in Vegas. That, you know, so that's why I say magic found me. I didn't find that. Magic found me. So at that moment, I almost just chuckled and was kind of just like, how is this even like I'm a magician. I'm constantly figuring out what's possible and what's not possible. And this happened. And I have no explanation for it. It could be complete coincidence, but even if it's complete coincidence, how amazing is that? Mm-hmm. That alone, even if it's just coincidence, that alone can be an awakening moment. It doesn't have to be from the divine. Mm-hmm. You know, it doesn't have to be from the divine. It can just be something simple, or it could just be a coincidence. But it happened. And so that allowed me to dig deeper, to believe in myself. I didn't figure out the moves and the next like set of agenda to go forward, and I didn't find my success like in any like it started to grow slowly, but it wasn't like, oh, that happened and then everything else changed. And you know, I'm still hustling, you know. I am nothing. And then when I'm something, I'm going to help a lot of people. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm nothing until that happens. Mm-hmm. Like I can work on myself and build myself, and that's great, and find all the success in the world. But until I do that and then help a lot of other people that are like-minded and want to do the same thing and help more people, that's when I've gotten success. I'm not successful yet, you know? Mm-hmm. So I've had that moment, and I've had some little cool little things, but that stuff it's nothing until I can help massive amounts of people, to help them find like whatever it is that they help them be inspired, or help them with information or education or resources or whatever I can do, you know, to help them. I don't know what that is yet, but I know that I'm building towards that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was the awakening moment that happened. That was powerful.
Well, I like how you express it, because I do believe in magic. One of the teachers I once had, the conversation was actually in school, and the teacher asked about God, and he said, a student asked about God, and he's like, "Teacher, do you believe in God?" And he goes, "You know what? I'd rather believe in one and find out that there isn't than not believe in one and find out that there is." Yeah. And that's the way I see the world as well with magic. I rather believe in magic, man. I rather believe in all this crazy stuff. Even when I travel, I'll pay for people's bills so I can. They're like, "Who paid for it?" But they'll never know it's me, because boom, you're creating magic in the world. You can create it. You can see it. You can feel it. But what I loved about it was you believed in the magic. You believed in the paper. You believed in that path. But also the fact that the one point you made was, when you have this awakening moment, it's just not like it's not like the movies. It's not like awakening moment, end credit. You know, it's just like and happily ever after. It's like, and then he started to have to deal with life and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. And I like what you just said about believing in magic. You know, like obviously what I do is theatrical. but I do believe in miracles, and I do believe in magic, and I believe that magic is you. Like, magic is inside you and everyone else. Like, it's inside of all of us, but it's in believing in ourselves. That's part of magic. You know, magic is the joy that is brought to people. It is the awe in the perceptions of questioning reality. That's what magic is, right? It's people believing in themselves and then going after things that in their purpose and making things happen to create change and create positive influence on people. That's the magic, you know? So I like what you said there, because I believe the same thing.
Also, the fact that one of the beliefs that you spoke about is something that I believe. It's the fact that I am nothing, but not in a, I am nothing, there's something wrong with me. It's just like, no, I'm nothing, because that means I can become everything. But the second that I think that I am it and I've achieved it, that's when the real problems happen. But when you come from the point of, I'm nothing, so let's begin, let's create, let's see what we can do, then it's phenomenal. Because you, through that, your joy of, it's almost like you go back to this young child playfulness inside of you, and you're like, oh, I'm just a kid, I'm just learning, so let's have fun, let's be playful. Like, you know, I did catch your, you know, the episode that you just posted online, and like I went to YouTube and I watched, and like, the coolest thing about magic, and I'll explain to you something, because I was speaking to my friend who was a magician years ago, and he goes, to the people that I'm doing magic to, they see magic in the trick, but I see magic in their faces.
That's beautiful.
And what I liked about what I was watching with Judith, you're going to countries, you don't speak the language. They don't speak, a lot of them aren't speaking English, and yet that interaction that you have from like what you do and you created through what you've done, because you're bringing this childlike amusement into people's life, you've discovered that universal language. Yes.
Yes, magic is that tool. Magic, it's in our conscious, like it's deep rooted. It's in our stories. It's been a part of shamanism. It's been a part of the fairy tales and wizards. It's a part of the Bible. It's a part of ancient. You could go far, far back in the deep text if you want to go and read all kinds of other civilizations, the Sumerians, all that stuff. Magic has been a part of the human experience since the beginning of the human experience. And it went from being like in the sense of medicinal doctors and shamans and such, but then to the royalty of kings and the gestures and entertainment purposes. It moved towards entertainment, but magic still brings a part of, like what your friend said, it brings the joy, it brings the astonishment, the awe, and that is also what lies inside of us. It just, the tool of magic is what brings it out, you know, and so does comedy, and so does other things, acting and films and all those other types of tools. But this is just the tool that I use because it's what I somehow got linked up with, you know. You do it with your speaking, and you're engaging with people and learning and being a messenger that brings other people's stories, and you're like like a conduit that brings these stories of other people's magic out to people, right? And so yeah, magic is interesting, but so are a lot of other things, other tools. They all do those things too, but they just do them in a different way. You know?
I agree, man. It's like a comedian is the alchemist of laughter.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
and a magician. Well, so if a comedian is an alchemist of laughter, what would a magician be an alchemist of? Because we're all alchemists in some way.
Of two things: awe. Well, so I can't say one thing. Awe, mystery, because mystery is magic, in a sense, and then joy, a little bit of joy. I think you get more joy with comedians because it's repetitive and it keeps going and it keeps feeding and it's in a loop. that keeps giving that. Tish is on here. I'm gonna say hi. So yeah, like so yeah, there's just different tools to create those things, and I think magic is important. It's important for our societies. It's important for people to experience. So yeah.
Here's a question. If you were to take the word magic out of all the things that you do, what is it that you feel that you are bringing into the world in your day-to-day interaction?
Let's see. I mean, I think that, you know, like the things we talked about is it, like those surface things, joy and astonishment and mystery and awe. But I also think, I think on a deeper level, giving people small moments to reflect on their perception and their optics of how they see the world out of their lens, because we all go through life and gather all these experiences from our life, and then we construct these ideas of how life is, these optics, and a magician can strip those away with just a trick to show you that maybe I should think about other things, and maybe this is not so concrete. And another idea that I like to play with is that life is filled with all kinds of truths that are really just illusions.
Mm-hmm.
Like all these things, if you look around and look deep enough and look close enough, most of them are just illusions. They're just constructs that a society and civilization has created, and we believe, and we just go along with it because it's part of our habits, a part of our daily lives, and all sort of facets. But it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that they're just there. It's just part of our habits of society. But most of these things, if you look deep enough, they're just illusions. They're man-made. They're created. What's real are things like the sun and the earth and the water and the air. Like those things you cannot, like, yes, we're still discovering what a lot of those things and potentials are. Mm-hmm. But those are the concrete natural laws. Those are true. Those are real true. But then again, some of those things can be questioned if you go down different theories of simulation theory or whatever. And I don't know any of this. I don't know what the answers are. But I do know that there's a lot of different ways to look at reality, and there's a lot of different perspectives to view the world out of. And the new thing that I'm adapting lately is to pay closer attention to my attachments. Like not attachments of my belongings. I'm talking about constructs that I attach my mind to, that I have to like, no, that's the way is no, like I find it that the more I detach from those things and say, you know what, it could be that, or it could be that. And we're going to see what it is by just kind of following along and seeing what's going on, right? Or seeing how this plays out. So, you know, there's a lot of illusions at play in reality. But it doesn't make it wrong or right. It just makes it more interesting to look deeper inside of and to discover more of.
Yeah, I really do like the idea that constructs are illusions.
Yes. Are you still? Can you still see me here? Is it?
I think
I flipped it around. Sorry. There we go. Okay.
I'm like, look at that.
It's an illusion. I disappeared. Okay.
Where did you go? That was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're right. It's the illusion and the perspectives and the lenses that we look at it, and the fact that one sec. So life doesn't have to be like this.
Right.
That I have a choice, and going back to like what you were saying before, it's just like, so I'm not a character in a story. I'm not the narrator. I'm not even the author who's writing it. I'm the librarian of my own destiny, and I can choose which character I can be every single day. It's like, okay, so like I
Right.
don't believe in this construct. Let's read this one. Okay, this one, and like constantly changing that helps you to have that perspective. So the fact that
Mm-hmm.
you're doing these, the fact that you do magic and illusions and all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
in what way has that helped to open your eyes to the reality around you, or has it?
Oh yeah, it's definitely been the magic has been such a integral part of my life on every aspect. It's allowed me to search for deeper meaning,
Hmm.
to learn more about myself, learn about other topics like technology and about like science. Like it just magic has been the thing that pushes my curiosity to go deeper and to learn more. And I feel like magic is one of the best learning tools that exists, that is completely overlooked, and that if there was a way to integrate it with education, because it pushes the student, like so a magician, a student, to understand psychology.
Hmm.
Because that's what magic is. Yes, you have a gimmick or a prop, and then you have some sleight of hand, but really the magic is a very intense course of psychology. Because I have to read, as a magician, I have to read my audience, their behaviors, their patterns, their body language. I have to anticipate what that is. I have to see who maybe the leader of the group is, the alpha male or female, or like who's in charge, or I have to, know my audience. And so in doing certain performances, you have to pick up on psychological cues, because everything that we're doing is a communication process in life, but also in magic. Like you to make something vanish or appear, or to predict something, I have to make people believe that that's possible, and then I have to psychologically frame it in a way that makes it seem like it really happened.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's a construct. I constructed that moment, or the magician did, or whoever, right? So
Mhm.
it's another one of those constructs that looks like it's true, even though it's not, So it's more psychology than anything. So I think that has affected me quite a bit in life, just to understand how our brains think. And I still don't, I'm still learning. I'm still reading books on psychology and human behavior. I'm just constantly trying to surround myself with magicians that are super talented, that I can learn from,
Mhm.
and I can help them with what they're doing, and to try to, like I said, deep learning, just to keep going. So that's a big part of it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just to talk about the constructs and the illusions and showing people like, it's like from nothing. It's so interesting because it's like somebody meets you,
Hmm.
and then from nothing you create something that makes them think about everything, and it's quite the, even if we weren't talking about magical, it's quite the magical experience. It's just like,
Hmm.
one second. So if that happened,
Hmm.
what else can happen?
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, if these things are going on, then what else can happen? It's really interesting because you literally create awakening moments for other individuals as well. Because the second that I've watched a lot of things that you've done, and the second that somebody leaves you, they walk away with the and you create this moment of excitement, engagement, of mystery, and then you create conversations, and from the
Yes.
conversation you create possibilities. So
Right.
I think that in itself is quite amazing. So
Yeah.
when how do you recover, like, and you were talking about this before, and I just want to bring it up one more time. It's just like we were talking about awakening moments. We were talking about how it's not like, oh, I'm awakened and then the show's over. No, it's just begun. But then you find your passion, you move towards it, and then you have moments where things don't go right with the trick.
Hmm.
How do you recover from that emotionally, physically, mentally, from moments like
Hmm.
that?
Hmm. Well, just like in everything else in life, we have to fail forward. Like I think Jeff Bezos was popular for bringing that to the front. I think it's been said by other authors and stuff. But you have to embrace failure. You have to create a cushion inside your mind. You have to embrace it from the aspect of first letting our egos know that it's okay to fail. We've been conditioned from school from a young age that the F on the paper is the worst thing, and you have to get this grade and you have to get this test result or you're just not good enough. Like it's okay to get a failure. It's okay to fail as long as you can put your ego down and you can look at it from a perspective of growth. Like you fail, so you fall, you're on the ground. How do I get back up? Well, if I stay frustrated and I let my ego take charge, then it's going to take me a while to get back up. But if I embrace the fall and I see where I've hurt myself or I've made a mistake or a trick has gone wrong, you embrace that. So that's just the mindset. So in a practical sense of, like if I mess up a trick with an audience or something, you learn from doing repetitive effects and routines that you learn what we call as magicians as an out. You learn what this trick or routine or act, their out is. Like, how do I recover from this? Sometimes it's just to ignore it completely and act like you didn't even know that you failed. Sometimes it's having something else prepared that your audience has no idea, that is like a backup plan. Like if I didn't find your card. Oh, but wait. And then you have this other backup plan that is a surefire, and that is a strong thing to have. But in life, you can have the same thing. You have to fail. You have to fail. But the thing that stops people from even, the fear of failing is bigger sometimes than actual failing. And I think, what is it? Like Jamie Foxx said, something about the best thing is on the other side of fear, or like, I can't remember the quote and I'm sorry, I'm butchering it, but it's, you discover so much more after you've failed when you just accept it and you put your ego down and you learn from that experience. And there's only room for growth at that point. So the same thing in magic, you just learn, okay, next time I don't do the thing that I just did, how I got caught messing this up, you just don't do that move or don't say that word that leads people to think this. So it's about constantly practicing, failing, reframing, relearning, developing new strategies. It's just all these same ideas that you can use in any business or any kind of construct, is just to realign and readjust and to just get back into flow, get back in the race, or get back into the journey, whatever you want to call it.
I definitely agree with you. The fact that I believe some of our biggest failures are the things that we don't achieve. Not achieve, but don't do. For example, there's a quote that says, the richest place on the earth is the graveyard, because that's where people die with their dreams. And I thought that was just very powerful, because it's true. Like, what happens if I don't? Well, what happens if you do? What happens if you do learn something from it? What happens if you do learn something from it? What happens if you gain something from it? It's just like, you have more to gain by trying than you have to create excuses or stories that you end up believing, but internally you're going to have those conflicts of, I know that's what we're saying, and rationally it makes sense, but we're not rational people. We're very emotional.
Right. And sometimes that's what I was saying about this attachment idea, is that sometimes it's okay to detach from those emotional ideas of like what this failure could mean if this happens. Like, but if we can train ourselves to detach, then we can explore more opportunities. It's mostly in the overthinking and the brainstorming and the oh, how could I do this more? Or the over planning, or the fear, like, what if I do this and someone thinks I'm this, and imposter syndrome,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like, this is a big thing. Like,
Yes, it is.
if it, this is a whole nother topic, I won't go into it,
Yep.
but if imposter syndrome is big, and it affects the biggest people in the world, right?
Yep.
Like, and everyone's just making it up as they go along for the most part anyways. Yes, there's some intelligent people in all kinds of spaces, but everyone's trying to figure this out, because you know why? This world that we live in, this reality, is a complete mystery. Even people that know what they're doing have no idea how we're here and why we're here, and it doesn't matter where you come from on earth. No one knows. This is whole thing. This whole reality is magic. We don't. So you know what? If you embrace that idea, it's stripping down what we've been taught. I'm not saying that school is amazing. I love education, and I love being able to be surrounded by peers, and it's so important for social development and all that. But I think that a lot of the education system hasn't been updated. I'm sure you've read about this. This is a whole thing. Like, it hasn't been changed since the Industrial Revolution or something, and it has been changing in a lot of ways since recent because of this knowledge. But and I love teachers, and I love the school system and all that. However, there's a lot of constructs that have been passed down over the years that don't allow us to see that we can believe in ourselves, and that we can keep going, and that it's okay to fail, and that, a lot of these ways. So I could go off on this topic. This could be another down the road awakening, but you kind of get where I'm going there, right? So we have to strip down what we know as these truths, these they're, and just question them. And it's okay to question things. Sometimes people feel like questions can be insulting, or questions can be, well, I don't know that answer, or you have to know the answer. It's okay not to know the answer. But questions are for exploration, to explore. If you have no questions, you will go nowhere. If you don't ask the right questions, you'll get nowhere. You won't find the answers for the next move, the next step. So we must ask questions. We must ask the right questions. We must never stop being curious. We have to always keep asking questions. My team, the people I work with and that I work around, we have this open idea of no idea is a bad idea. We have this thought process that it's okay to be constructive with criticism and to strip our egos out of it. And as long as it's pushing it forward in a positive way, like, let's hear it. But if it's just like comes from a hateful place, like, I'm okay. People can tell me their opinions all I want, because they own those opinions. Those are their opinions. That's their right to have a feeling or a thought about something. But I can sit and listen to any of them, and I can read about them, and I can watch them, and I can not take offense to them too, because I can let my ego take a back seat and say, you know what, I'm here to learn. So can I learn something from this criticism? Can I grow from it?
Mm-hmm.
And so in school, the training is you have to get the test right, and you have to do it by yourself, and you have to get the answer, and you have to memorize everything. But when you get out of school, you teamwork, you work with everyone, you use the internet to get information, like, you don't have to memorize everything. Like, so it's strange. That whole idea needs to be rethought of, I think, in learning. And
For sure.
So yeah. So that's a little bit about, I could go down that rabbit hole.
We'll do it. We'll definitely do another one.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about, but I'm a big believer. Questions are, if you add a letter in, but a question is a quest I'm on. You know what I mean?
Oh, nice. Quest I'm on.
Well, you just add the "at," right? Because otherwise it's a quest I on. But it's a quest I'm on, and that's the way I see it, and that's the way I go. Because the reason I'm asking a question is because I'm on a quest, and there's just things that I'm looking for, so I'm going to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you for the way that you answer the question lets me know if we're going to be on this quest together. Because we
Right.
might go our own separate ways. If I answer you and be like, but that's a dumb question, be like, no, you're telling me that this is not the quest that belongs to you. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I like that. I like that. I like that quest I'm on. I love that.
thanks, man. So we only
Yeah.
have a few minutes left. So let me ask you
Yes.
one last
Yeah.
question. If you could say anything to your younger self, what would it be?
It would be never stop believing in yourself. Never stop. Never stop. Because you have to be, like a lot of people say, it's all out there. I didn't make this up, but you have to be your biggest fan. I think I just saw this video that Chris Angel put out recently, and he was like, never stop believing in yourself. You have to believe in yourself first, because if you don't believe in yourself, who's going to believe in you, right? And so life is going to get difficult, and you have to reach deep inside and just believe in yourself, like once you know what way you want to go with things. And that's what I would tell my younger self, so that when the dark times come, I could reflect on that information. I know we don't have a lot of time left, but just so you know, before we go, I want to show you and your audience a little trick over this podcast here, if you don't mind.
Sure, we have 2 minutes before the stream cuts off, so go for it.
Okay, cool. All right. And this is going to be a little challenging because we're here on the interwebs. But I have a deck of cards here, and you can see they're all mixed up. And I'm just going to shuffle, and I want you to say stop anytime. I'm just going to stop just so you know they're mixed up. Is that good?
Stop. Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to keep going like this. Just say stop anytime.
Stop.
Okay. I'm not going to look, but look at your card.
Mm-hmm.
Got it?
Mm-hmm.
You can see it? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I'm putting this deck down. I have another deck here. It's a blue deck. It's kind of hard performing for the so your card's not the King of Diamonds, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to spread through the cards. Actually, I'm just going to put my hand over this deck here, and if you can see, it's going to change a bit into a small deck of cards, much smaller than the red deck here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had your cards selected, but I'm going to just go here so you can see. Let's see. Can you see the cards? They're all different,
Mm-hmm.
except for one is face down.
Mm-hmm.
Be the 7 of clubs.
Bam. That's it.
Your card.
Yes, thank you so much. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed this time, Aaron. Thank you for having me a part of your Awakening podcast, and I hope that your everyone that's watching and your friends and everyone in your audience gets some value out of it. And I wish you the best and blessings to you, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Thanks, brother. I just wanted to, before we go, because it's still like a little bit, I just want to acknowledge you. One's for everything that you've achieved, man, for going down your path, pursuing your passion, and constantly just staying on the road that you're on. It's not easy, but it's inspiring. The fact that you're constantly going around the world and sharing your passion with people, to see their eyes light up, to see the joy in them, it's amazing, because that in itself, you're spreading joy, your joy is spreading joy around the world. And just want to acknowledge you as a human for what you do and what you bring to everybody's life. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Aaron. I really appreciate that.
And before we go, because we still have 20 seconds-ish, where can people find you?
You can find me, there's a YouTube channel, just youtube.com/Dallas Fueston. It's Fueston, like Houston, but with an F. And then on Instagram, same thing, at Dallas Fueston. And I have another episode coming out of Magic Mindset pretty soon, and be looking for that. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Beautiful, brother. Once again, honestly, I really appreciate you, your time, and everything. Thank you so much, and we'll do this again soon.
All right, Aaron. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.